So, my name is Turd Girl One. Charming, I know. I have worked in cosmetics in the beauty industry for over a decade. I have spent the last 4 years working as an account executive for a skincare company. So, a real one, not like an MLM one. A lot of what I do sort of overlaps with what people in those beauty MLMs like Monat, Arbonne, Unique. A lot of what I do sort of falls in line with what they think they do. That's why I'm mostly going to be speaking on this sort of like beauty and wellness MLM communities versus like the Primerica and these like cryptocurrency MLMs that, truth be told, I don't know enough about those sort of things to speak on them. So yeah, that's sort of why I don't know. That's it. That's all I have to say on that. When I start sharing my screen, the PowerPoint that I just sort of like threw together really fast looks a little, we're going to call it lo-fi. We're just going to call my channel a lo-fi YouTube channel. Hopefully it comes in clear. If it doesn't, I'll figure out a better way to do this. But for now, there's like a whole learning curve for me that I have to figure out. The other thing that I thought I would be able to speak on, having worked in the industry for so long, is their products. We know and we sort of speculate that most of their products are marked up way high, just because you got to pay everyone in the alleged pyramid. When I started looking at the ingredients of the Rejuvenique oil, I was like, oh, this is a pretty like sort of basic blend. Well, I'll get into it in just a second. But I was shocked at the price. I hadn't even looked at the price yet, and it was way more expensive than I actually anticipated. Yeah, it was crazy. I hadn't even looked at the price yet. So today I'm doing a deep dive on a couple of experiments that Monet Huns do on their Instagrams, on their Facebooks, their TikToks, all of that stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. I'm going to start by going over the ingredients of the Rejuvenique oil and sort of sharing my key takeaways after looking through these ingredients. So let me go ahead and start sharing my screen. Oh, perfect. I had it already set up. So these are a list of ingredients. There are about, I think there's 15 total ingredients in the Rejuvenique oil. Now, the colors may look confusing to you. They are basically, I just kind of highlighted them as the functions repeated themselves. So, some ingredients, if you look at the top, meadow foam seed oil is an emollient. And every time emollient comes up in the ingredients, I just sort of highlight it so that you know this is a repeated benefit. There's a couple of things that I wanted to take note of. So, obviously, the first being that it's really just a blend of a bunch of oils. That's all it is. There's a lot of overlapping benefits, and certainly you could use fewer ingredients and all of that. The other thing I wanted to mention when looking at these ingredients is that we have the lemon peel oil, the lime oil, and the bergamot oil. Now, these all have very like similar functions. In fact, I just got lazy and put same as above for them. The other thing about these ingredients that is a need to know is that they are what we refer to as phototoxic ingredients, meaning that they make the skin or whatever the skin, the hair, more prone to sun damage, sunburns, irritation, blistering. I can't speak on the trials that Monat did when their lawsuit came up with the blistering and the irritation. I also don't know what products were spoken about in that lawsuit, but if I were to guess, this is probably one of the products that was brought up in the lawsuit. Now, when it comes to lemon peel, lime oil, bergamot, and those sort of phototoxic ingredients, people with like rosacea, eczema, psoriasis, these sort of dry skin conditions, it can kind of irritate them as well. I know from my own experience having eczema, lemon peel makes me quite itchy. I mean, I have eczema. It's just, it is what it is. There's so much stuff that particularly makes me itchy. And I always do find it strange that, like, a Monat Hun would try to play dermatologist and convince someone that their skin condition isn't what it is. So, the phototoxic ingredients are the lemon peel, the lime, and the bergamot. Now, if you look at the camellia seed up front, it will provide some UV protection, which will help with your hair color, and it can also help with these phototoxic ingredients. Is it enough? I don't know. Does it really help that? I don't know. I do want to take a moment to talk about the price. So, the price here is, let's see, $84 for a VIP customer. I believe it is 99 if it was like me, wanting to buy from a Hun, just a one-time purchase without signing up as a VIP. And then the market partner price is $69. So that is for 1 ounce of product. I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked with how expensive this was. I would never, ever, ever pay that much for this essential oil blend. I wanted to share some alternatives. The other thing to mention is like Monat is, it's not special. It's not the only silicone free hair oil out there. Here's a couple that are silicone free. We have Together Beauty. They have the Flower Supply hair oil. This is going to retail for $45 for 2 ounces.
Adjua.
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 Adjua. And then the Adjua, the Baumit Protect and Shine oil blend is going to be $20 for 7.2 ounces. That is significantly cheaper than the Rejuvenique oil. Again, that oil is not special. They will tell you it is special. It's not special. And this is the Oribe Gold Lust All Over Hair, Body, and Face Oil. So this to me was the most similar product I could find. A little bit different. Oribe is a very, very, very expensive hair care line. It is expensive, but it's $62 for 1.7 ounce of hair oil. That is, again, um, a very, like, substantially cheaper than the Rejuvenique oil. I am ready to like get into the experiments for sure. I'm going to start off with the bread one just because we already know the science behind it. It's not going to take a whole lot of explaining, but I think it's comical. Let's just like revisit it. Let's just revisit when Monat Huns thought that they were doing something. Oh, this one has Jason Derulo, so I can't play the audio, but you can see that she is spraying, I guess, the heat protectant. She's putting it in the toaster, and as it oh, I can pause it. Okay, so as it pops out, she half of the bread is toasted, and the half that she put these products in is not toasted. Okay, most people figured this out the minute that she hit submit on Instagram. It's a product and it's a liquid, and in order for the bread to toast, the moisture has to be evaporated and vaporized out of the product. Otherwise it's not going to toast. It wasn't in the toaster long enough for that to happen, but if you continue to put it in there again and again and again, it would eventually start to toast. You know, you could do this by spraying milk on it, water, butter. You could do it with all of that because all of those ingredients are going to need the moisture taken out of it before the bread will start to toast. It's just common sense. That's I mean, that's like such an easy explained science experiment. I just wanted to start with that to review it because it is super funny. So I'm actually going to play two of their experiments. They are different experiments, but a similar, like, I say like a similar, yeah, like a similar explanation, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I think I'll start with the hot tools.
Experiment time! So this is the oil that I used to use in the salon, at home, on myself, and I was totally shocked when I saw it starting to burn on my flat iron. So you can imagine if I'm scraping this off my flat iron with my fingernail after just a few seconds of it being on the flat iron, what that is looking like on your hair. Time for oil test number 2. This is another oil that I've used in my salon for a long time. It's a professional hair care line. It smells really good, and to me it's always felt really light. But I was really surprised to see after just a few seconds of this being on the flat iron, it started to bubble and smoke and turn into this gooey, sticky consistency. As you guys can see, it is a gross little ball of wax, and you definitely don't want that on your hair. Now I'm going to show you guys Rejuvenique oil and what it does on the flat iron. Notice it's not turning into a gummy, sticky consistency. It's not bubbling. It stays nice and liquidy, and that is going to allow your hair to absorb all of the benefit.
I do just want to say like something I thought of because as I've gone as I've like watched these videos like over and over, the one thing that I didn't even think about is they are using, something that they're calling an oil, which I'll get into that in a second, but they're actually not using the heat protectant that you would use from Monat. They're using the Rejuvenique oil, which for the record is not a heat protectant. So if you wanted to use the Rejuvenique oil, I don't know how they would suggest it, but maybe you run it through your hair a little bit to get that moisture, and then you would throw heat protectant on top before you put your hot tools to it, because the Rejuvenique oil on its own isn't going to protect you from heat damage. I do just want to point out that it did solidify a little bit, but it didn't burn, it didn't flame, it actually didn't turn black, it didn't char, and that's a property that we're going to talk about in a short minute. I want to play a couple of these flame ones. I want to play, there's like 3 of them. Do I play all 3? I guess I can cut it after.
Hello guys, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys
Hi.
an experiment with 2 different oils. The first one I'm going to be showing you on the Q-tip is Giovanni Frizz Be Gone, and then Rejuvenique oil by Monat. And I'm going to go ahead and spray a little bit on the Q-tip and dab a little bit, a few drops. And then I'm going to go ahead and show you what this will do to your hair, and you'll be able to see the difference. Please do not do this inside a house because this has to do with fire.
Okay, so she goes, I just want to show you what this will do to your hair. When what? Because we're not lighting our hair on fire. I don't understand what they think they're showing us when they show us these experiments.
And then the Monat doesn't do anything. Which one do you prefer to use in your hair?
The one that is not attached to a scam, the one that isn't overpriced. She says, and I know I just said this, but she was like, look, I want to show you what it does to your hair, but that's not a normal circumstance. If this works so well and doesn't burn, why don't you put this Rejuvenique oil all over your head and try to set it on fire? Because that's not something you would do. We don't We don't subject our hair to fire typically. I don't know why all of these HUDs fantasize about setting their hair on fire. That's such an extreme, like, heat condition that you wouldn't even need to consider what hair product you would use. Like, if there's a flame to my hair, I have other concerns than what kind of heat protectant is in my hair. This is such an outlandish scenario that they have doctored up for us, and it continues.
Seeing everybody do this little experiment, so I want you guys to see this oil. Says it's triple nutrition, marvelous oil hair elixir with avocado oil and almond oils. It's for dry to very dry hair, and it provides 3 times the moisture. It's proven to strengthen your hair. It says it's paraben free, gentle for everyday use, vegan formula. Okay, all right, you know what, I'm not even gonna continue to read, but
I'm not going to continue to read because this product has too much integrity and I don't want it to compare to my own product. When I watched this last night, I looked up what product she was using, and I believe it was a Garnier product. It retails like, I think for about like $8 or something like that, between $6 and $10, let's say. I was just kind of like reading what she was reading because I wanted to see like why she stopped. She's like, I'm not even going to keep her reading. It didn't really say anything too like damning, but it did go on to talk about how the packaging was made and how it was environmentally friendly, and how Garnier partners with some sort of like, eco friendly organization. And the Rejuvenique oil is $99, $84 if a VIP customer. For her, she's going to be paying $69. She's going to be paying $69 every time she wants this Rejuvenique oil, and she's just like wasting it to prove a point that is sort of moot.
I'm gonna put that oil on this side, and then I'm gonna put our Rejuvenique oil on the other side of the Q-tip. I just want you guys to see that when a product says it's paraben free or vegan, it sometimes really isn't.
She's like, oh, it says it's vegan, it says it's paraben free, but I'm going to show you that it's not, and that doesn't even make sense. That because she's going to light this on fire. One's going to light on fire, and obviously hers isn't. That's not proving that something is vegan or not. What? That's not proving if something has parabens or not. Like, I looked at the ingredients, it is vegan and it is paraben free. Paraben is just a preservative. There are like so many other preservatives now that people use as alternative, because right now the public, the consensus in public opinion of parabens, wow, is that they're bad for you. They're cancer causing. And while I do feel like it's sort of this fear mongering situation that brands are using to sell their own brand as a marketing tactic, it is important to note that this experiment has no way of telling us whether the product is or isn't paraben free.
Go ahead and put this oil all over. I'm just gonna show you the cap of it so you guys can see that I'm actually really putting this oil on this side, and I'm just gonna coat the entire Q-tip tip. All right, so that's that oil on this side. Let me wipe my finger, and then I'm gonna grab our Rejuvenique oil, and I'm just gonna apply this on this end. All right, so again, Rejuvenique is on this end, and a drugstore oil is on this end. It says it's vegan, it says it's paraben and sulfate free.
It is. It is vegan. It is paraben free. And I don't think the package said sulfate free, but sulfates are used in like cleansers to lather, in detergents to lather. It probably wouldn't be in there because it's not a cleanser. But anyway, it doesn't have any of that stuff. She doesn't really know the science behind it, but hey, it looks pretty cool. So she's going to do it.
So you already know how that goes. We are vegan, natural based, cruelty free, okay? So I want you guys to see the difference. I'm just gonna flip it over so it's easier for me to like this, but right now I have the bad oil, drugstore oil on this side. All right, ready? Did you see how that lit up so fast? All right, so that's the drugstore one. I'm gonna flip it this way. On this side I have the Rejuvenique. Nothing. It's not even burning. Like, and I'm letting that sit there for a second too, as you can see. Nothing's happening to the oil. And this side, you can see, I'm just gonna light it again for you guys, even though it's already burnt.
Okay. So again, why? Why are these huns constantly fantasizing that their hair is catching on fire? I think maybe in their head they're thinking the Q-tip is representative of the hair and the flame is representative of the hot tools that you might use in your hair. But there's a huge difference in temperature with those things. The other thing is that she lit the bad oil on fire twice. And I just want to point out, because here it is on the screen, it's not burnt. She just said it was burnt, but it's not burnt. It's not black. It's not charred. If that Q-tip is meant to represent that strand of hair, I would say it did a pretty good job. The Q-tip is fine.
See that? And not only that, this is the Rejuvenique oil. I just rubbed it on my finger. And now this is the drugstore one. Rejuvenique drugstore.
I don't understand if the Q-tip is supposed to represent the hair strand and the flame, this fire burning hot tool, then why aren't they using heat protectants?
Guys, the proof is literally in the product. I cannot stress it enough. When some products say that they're vegan, paraben free, sulfate free, sometimes they're really not.
Like a brand can't say, oh, we are, paraben free, sulfate free, without being able to back that up, because that's a liability. Garnier Fructis, if they sold this product and called it vegan and paraben free and it turns out it isn't, there could be a huge class action for them. They don't want to lie about something that is easy to do. It's very easy to make a completely vegan product, and it's very easy to substitute parabens. And if a product isn't any kind of cleanser, then sulfates aren't going to be present at all. So again, what are we talking about here? What is the point of the experiment, hun? Like, what are you trying to tell us? In both experiments, there isn't really much talk about the ingredients. It's just telling that these huns don't really know the ingredients or their functions, because they'd be able to explain this a lot better to us versus just some cheap visual aid that doesn't tell us anything.
As you can see right now, ours didn't even burn at all. So it just goes to show how amazing our products are. Okay, the proof is literally in the pudding. I have been using these products for like about 6 months now, and I have just been so amazed with my hair. So Rejuvenique, drugstore, not good, good. Okay,
I guess I'll just play one of these again. Oh, there. Okay, so she posted Pantene Protect and Shine. It's honestly just changing its form, even as it's been on there for such a long time. Which, like, for the record, if you had this product in your hair and you were going to use this hot tool on it, you're not holding it in that one spot for as long as this product has been sitting there. But even with it being on there that long, it's really not doing anything. It comes right off, didn't leave any residue, um, removes really quickly, didn't turn black, didn't burst in flames. I don't know what that is. Blow dry cream. Is she? I wonder if she's going to use the heat protectant with this one. That would be interesting because I guess I don't remember this one, because that blow dry cream is obviously not an oil of any kind. And that's another one. So that one really isn't, yeah, it comes right off, not burning. That one is definitely meant to be a heat protectant, unlike the Rejuvenique oil. No. Okay. So, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. A heat protectant is way more than just a blend of essential oils. Your Rejuvenique oil is not a heat protectant. It's not a heat protectant at all. It's not creating a barrier between your hair strands and the hot tool. Your hair will still absorb the heat if you just use Rejuvenique oil. It is not a heat protectant. So she's comparing it to a L'Oreal blow dry cream, which is a heat protectant, and that's going to have a whole different like lineup of ingredients. Your hair strand will still get all of the heat through that Rejuvenique oil.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Okay, so this is just like completely like spontaneous. I was just like in my bathroom getting ready and I kind of wanted to try this and see it for myself because I've seen it on, you know, like Pinterest and all that stuff. I actually just like been on and off with this. I found BioSilk because I know this is very popular in the hair care world. So I started using BioSilk. I literally just bought this, as you guys can see, like probably been using this for like a couple, like maybe a month. And then I started getting on Monat. Okay guys, so I kind of want to do a little experiment and I wanted to do it live. I wanted to show you guys what you're putting on your hair, okay? I'm gonna do the OGX first. I'm gonna put a little bit on there. I'm gonna put it all over the Q-tip, okay? It's on the Q-tip. Here's a lighter. You're putting this on your hair. You're putting that on your hair.
All this is showing me is that the Moroccan oil really did protect the Q-tip because it's not black, it's not charred. And in no situation in my life am I putting a torch to my head. I am just not.
Okay, guys? Okay? Putting that on your hair. We're gonna try the BioSilk next, okay? Like I said, this is so popular in the beauty industry, like BioSilk. I worked at a hair salon. I know a lot of people used BioSilk.
Side note, she did work at a hair salon, but she was the receptionist. And I want to point that out because she's not licensed. And she, in the first video I watched of her, she said some outlandish things. She made the detox claims about the hair care. So I just want to point that out, that she will say, oh, I worked at a salon, but she was a receptionist.
You know, I'm gonna put this on. I got the light brand, so I guess it's not supposed to be like as like penetrating oily. I don't even know. But here's the BioSilk, guys. You're putting that on your hair. Guys, okay? What are you doing? Don't go next to any fires. You'll burn up in flames. This is the...
No, you won't. You won't burn up in flames. The ingredients that I'm going to talk about that are in these competitor products that they're showing, they're non-flammable. They are only going to light on fire in extreme temperature situations. So unless I'm dunking my head in a fire, I will not burst in flames. That is something that she should not even be saying. She is scaring people from their everyday hair care products to sell a $100 blend of essential oils.
Rejuvenique oil, okay? This is supposed to do everything that this and this do and more, okay? Like this.
She hasn't even really told us the functions of the Rejuvenique oil. So, I mean, I'm going to give her a minute. I should give her a minute because I haven't watched this in a while, so maybe she does mention it here.
This is, you can use this for burns, you can use this for cuts, you can use this for dry skin. Use this on a baby for cradle cap. You
could not use that on cuts.
You can use this for burns, you can use this for cuts,
You cannot use it on burns. You cannot use it on cuts. It has phototoxic ingredients that would make those open wounds very susceptible to further damage and further scarring. I would not do that.
cradle cap. You can put this on your scalp for a scalp treatment. Cannot speak. To help your hair grow. You can put this on your ends to give yourself a little bit more moisture. If you have super dry scalp, you have dandruff, this is what you can use that for, okay? You use it on your cuticles. You use it on the bottom of your feet.
And like none of those things are heat protectants. So again, the flames, it does not compute whatsoever.
Okay, so this is our Rejuvenique oil. Do the same thing. Lather the Q-tip up. God, this smells so good. Put it all around.
I always feel too like when she talks, she's like a little out of breath. Her energy is like so high and up there for like an experiment that doesn't make sense.
Okay.
You can actually see it did get a little bit black there. I actually heard it burn a little bit. It doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter because the Rejuvenique oil is not a heat protectant. And all that means, that blackening of the Q-tip, all it means is that, yes, it didn't catch fire, but the Q-tip still felt the heat. And it still caught damage, even though it didn't just burst out into flames the way that these other ingredients did.
What? You guys, what are you putting on your hair?
Yeah, like you can see that Q-tip is quite dark.
Mic drop.
Yeah.
Okay? Get your hands on this stuff. You won't blow up in flames if you put this on your hair. These two is a different story. All right, guys. I just wanted to get on real quick and kind of show you guys that little experiment. I saw it, like I said, all over Pinterest and everything. And I just kind of wanted to see it for myself. So I did that.
She didn't explain anything. She didn't explain the science.
I'm going to hop on my Facebook Live because I have some exciting news. So if you guys want to hop over there, you guys are more than welcome to kind of celebrate with me, a little secret, give you a little hint. But I love you all. Thank you for coming up on this live.
I don't think that she is. Well, I'm going to let her finish in case she says something outlandish.
You guys, just get some Rejuvenique oil in your life.
That's pretty outlandish. I will not be doing that. I did kind of say most of this stuff as I was reacting, but the first important thing to note is that these Huns fantasizing about hair catching on fire, it's extreme. They're extreme situations that have no basis for an experiment. And at the end of it, they don't really have a hypothesis or a conclusion to what they've just done, except that no fire good, fire bad. Also, they're not comparing like products, and this is really important. I tried not to explain that too much because I was going to go over the ingredients. The one thing that I can say about all of these products that they use that I did look up is that they have usually some form of silicone in these products. Silicone has some very specific properties that explains these experiments really easily. But there are other products like, or other ingredients like different types of glycerol or glycerin that would also probably have a similar effect. Both glycerin and silicones are considered non flammables. However, they can catch fire in extreme heat conditions. So, Monat will sort of rag on silicones. They'll say it's bad for you. I don't really think I've seen any Monat Hun be able to explain why, because in short, they're not bad for your hair at all. But silicones are a really common way for affordable products to have some sort of heat protectant. In addition to preventing from UV rays, the silicone will create a layer over the hair strands that will protect it from a hot tool. Also, these silicones can be used for smoothing and filling a void. So, essentially, if you have like a split end, it can seal that split end so that it looks like one hair strand and then sort of smooth it around the edges so it looks like just a really nice strand of hair. Now, it does sound a little bit weird that it would just simply coat the hair, but as long as you're clarifying or even just shampooing your hair, it should all come out at the end of the day. In addition to these products containing silicones, they're not really marketed as hair oils at all. These products that they're using are either being advertised as heat protectants or serums for the hair. That's not an oil. And I think from a consumer standpoint, that might be a little bit confusing. But serums tend to be a little bit weightier. They tend to have ingredients like glycerin, and silicones to provide like a slip and a lubricant and emollient in these products. So it'll certainly change the consistency from this sort of liquidy dry oil to something that has a little bit more weight to it. Think of it for the face. So you have like your dry argan oil that some people use for a little extra hydration versus something like a vitamin C serum. They have completely different functions, different weights, and different ingredients. This hair oil, Rejuvenique, is really just a way to hydrate the hair. They will make other claims, but essentially it's just hydrating and taming frizz, and they're not comparing that with other oil blends. They're comparing it with silicone based products, and that alone isn't fair. But as I showed in the last girl's video, the Q-tip didn't burst into flames, but it wasn't protected from heat by any stretch of the imagination. It still turned brown, and I did hear it fizzle. Whether or not an ingredient is flammable or not isn't really the telltale of the integrity of the ingredients. Silicones are non flammable. Non flammable meaning they don't just burn. Silicones have great thermal stability. So what that means is that silicones will hold their shape through a certain like range of degrees. So as low as like negative 150 degrees and as high as around, 482 degrees Fahrenheit. So in Celsius, that would be like negative 100 degrees to 220 degrees. That's a huge range of temperature that silicones can withstand. When we look at the Hot Tools experiment, so if I open that back up, I'll just kind of play it on mute. So when we look at the Hot Tools experiment, we mentioned that silicones can maintain their state through extreme temperatures up to about 482 degrees. Now, that'll vary depending on the state of the silicone, the type of silicone, etc. It can be more, it can be less. But what I can tell you is that a hot tool can hold up to 450 degrees Fahrenheit, putting it right at that area where the silicone is going to change its shape. And even looking at this, it's really not that horrendous looking of a state change. It looks like just the moisture has evaporated out and it's just a little bit tacky now. No one's going to leave a hot tool on their hair long enough for it to do that. And as you can see, it comes right off, which means it's going to wash right off your hair easy in the shower. There's really nothing to be scared of with silicones. It's this fear that Monat Huns don't really understand, and they don't understand it to back their science. If we look at the flame ones, let's see. A flame on a single match has a temperature of about 1100 degrees Fahrenheit to about 1400 degrees Fahrenheit. In Celsius, that would be about 600 to 800 degrees Celsius. To go back, your hot tools can go at a max of 450 degrees Fahrenheit. And even at that, people shouldn't be using temperature on their hot tool that high. That might be for like a keratin treatment, maybe, but that's such a high heat. I can straighten my hair, my curly hair, at 325 degrees, and it'll hold that style easily. So we're looking at double, triple, even quadruple the temperature in a single match. So of course the silicone is going to be able to catch a flame. But again, the Q-tip remains pretty unharmed and there's simply a little residue left given the state change of the silicone. That's all it is. The last experiment I want to do is the dry shampoo experiment.
Showing you a little experiment today on how our Monat dry shampoo and hairspray doesn't catch flame and how Chi hairspray and Dove dry shampoo does. Dry shampoo first. Nothing. Nothing. That's the dry shampoo. And hairspray. Nothing. Nothing. All right. Now the Chi hairspray. Try the Dove dry shampoo. Not good. And one more time. All right. So as you guys can see there, some catch flames, some don't. Our products definitely don't do that. I don't know why anyone would want to put anything on their hair that would be able to catch flame. So just imagine all the chemicals you're putting onto your hair.
She's like, imagine all the chemicals in your hair products. And it's like, everything is a chemical. Everything is a chemical. It's called the natural fallacy, where people claim something is better because it is natural, because it is organic, because it is clean. And then they will use phrases like free of chemicals because we as humans have sort of associated the word chemical with being artificial, toxic ingredients. And that's not true. One of the things they talk about is things being natural and good for you. And you know what else is natural is poison oak. These are the ingredients for the Champ Conditioning Dry Shampoo. They are right. Most dry shampoos will have propane, butane, or isobutane. But what they fail to share is that they're only used as propellants. They're not just sitting on your hair. The isobutane, the butane, and the propane are the propellant that gets the product there. As they leave the can, they sort of diminish into the air and they're gone. Their function is over. They're not just sitting on your hair waiting for you to walk past a bonfire so that you explode and burst into flames. Now, Monat actually has its own propellant. It's called tetrafluoropropene, and you can see it listed on the ingredients on my screen. In fact, if we're going to speak on how propane, butane, and isobutane are in lighters, we should also talk about how tetrafluoropropene is used in car air conditioners as a refrigerant. If we want to talk about how flammable and scary those other ingredients are, Then we need to talk about how tetrafluoropropene can cause irritation if you come in contact with it. It's a skin irritant. It can be irritating in the eyes, and it can cause like frostbite if you were to touch like the most concentrated version of it. But that doesn't matter. They don't need to speak on it. And other brands don't need to speak on the butane in their products because they're just propellants. They're not sitting on the hair. And that's why when you go to Monat's website, when they talk about their ingredients for their dry shampoo, they don't mention tetrafluoropropene. Actually, they don't even mention that other dry shampoos have propane, butane, and isobutane, and that they're free from it. Because if they were to say that they're free from those ingredients, they would probably have to talk about what they're using in theirs. And it's not exactly a clean ingredient. I really wanted to talk about the price of this as well, because this was another product that was insanely priced. This dry shampoo is $34. It was $34 for 4 ounces. And yeah, I was pretty shocked by that. The living proof one, for the same exact size, is $26. And then the other one I compared it to as well in terms of price was Orbe. I went back to Orbe because they're just so pricey. And their dry shampoo is $48. Now you're like, okay, well, there we go. Monat's is 34 and Orbe's is 48. However, Orbe's has 2 additional ounces to it, so it's a total of 6 ounces, whereas the Monat one is only 4 ounces. So when you do it per ounce, Orbe ends up being cheaper. So it looks like market partners pretty much get 30% off all of the products. So for $34, you can get this expensive dry shampoo. If you are a VIP, you can get this for $29. Again, the same as Living Proof without having to pay for membership. So I'm well aware that Living Proof is quite expensive as well. But even it being as expensive as it is, having this dry shampoo be more expensive is crazy. So when we look at the cost of Monat's dry shampoo, it is, how much was it? It was $34. As a VIP customer, you can get it for $29, still more expensive than the Living Proof, and you have to be a VIP customer. And if you are a market partner, you will pay $24, which is only slightly less than the Living Proof. And if you worked at Sephora and you wanted to buy the Living Proof dry shampoo, it's $26. You're going to get 25% off. Let's just make it easy and say 20% off. That's, what, $5 off? It's going to make that dry shampoo $21. That's going to be even cheaper than the market partner price. Of you owning your own business, it's going to be even cheaper than what you would pay as a market partner with Monat. So there is one thing that I did want to compliment Monat for when it comes to using tetrafluoropropene in their products versus isobutane, propane, and butane. And it's that in comparison to isobutane, butane and propane. And I hate that I'm even saying this because it's going to give Monat Huns something to think about and something to sell. But I do have to share it. And it's that tetrafluoropropene has a much lower GWP rating, which stands for global warming potential. What that means is that tetrafluoropropene is just a little bit better for the environment than isobutane, butane, and propane. They will come in with a GWP rating of about, I believe it was like 5 or 6. So this is actually an ingredient that is better in terms of global warming. And that's great. And that's something that should be celebrated. But then why aren't the Huns talking about it? They just don't know it. They don't know their products. They don't know their ingredients. They don't understand the function of their products as well as they claim to. It's sort of why they just copy one another. They use the same verbiage when they try to recruit, like just jump on in, face your fears, financial freedom. It's probably the same reason that they just use the same photo filters as each other. Hey, can I copy your homework? Sure, just don't make it obvious. It's probably the same reason they just pass information to each other, one after the other, and they repeat them to their audience, but they don't actually fact check them. For that, I refer to claims such as, we're the fastest growing business, when there's nothing to support that. 1-800, they can explain the claims. They're not really sure the function of the ingredients, and they just sort of copy one another. And quite frankly, that's dangerous. It is dangerous to sit on a camera and tell your audience to keep using a product that is causing irritation. It is dangerous to sit and look at your audience and tell them that you will get financial freedom. It is dangerous to make any sort of claims about a product when you can't speak on it and you can't speak on the science behind it. It was just really interesting to just go over this. I know that there's been other experiments. I kind of had this all written up last night and just had these 3 experiments in mind, or I should say 4, I guess. But maybe I'll do it with like a completely different product from a completely different MLM. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream then. I'm going to go ahead and private it, but I will have this all cleaned up later.